Hello, everybody. Today we're going to be dissecting, looking back at my trade on this shitcoin that I shorted and made almost 1,000%. Okay, so why I picked this coin? Well, there isn't really a big reason why I picked this coin. There is just like zero fees on my exchange. So I was like, okay, fine. If they're not going to charge me to put trades on, I can probably enter like a couple hundred trades in like a day and make good money, right? So that's why my reasoning. I don't want to trade Bitcoin because Bitcoin, there's fees. I could trade whatever because I've been trading for a while now, like maybe 4 years now. So yeah. So what I did was I uh, I dissected this part of the range. I saw what this tested and what this tested. So we always start highest time frame down, so we can see the overall meta of where the coin is. Okay, and here, let's go file. Let's go poster, so we can open up and see where I entered this. Okay, so entry price is okay. Well, let's just mark where the entry price is first of all. So the entry price was like around like right here. That's like around where the entry price is. And where did I exit? I exited around 18 1801. So like something like that. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. So, yeah. So we start highest time frame down, okay? What what I noticed is that we perfectly tested this level, a 4 hour hold level, 4 hour hold level. Perfect. Where's that 4 hour level? No, we're looking way too back. I wasn't looking in this range. I was more looking in this range to see what this tested, because that tested some kind of weekly. There's like some weekly architecture, but that's not really what matters. This is the 4 hour level that I was talking about. So now the 4 hour level hit and held this 4 hour trend. So you have 1 hour, you have a 4 hour against a 4 hour. There's a pretty nice trade from here to, let's say, like just like the high of the move. So like you could have made another like 20%, but I wasn't good enough to catch that in the moment. So after we saw this huge pullback over here, you go time frame down again. Okay, so where I entered was right somewhere over here, right? How you see this is you first have to see what this was testing. So this was testing a 15 minute. And what we did is we broke the 15 minute. I remember we broke over it and then we started laddering, right? So 15, 15, and you can see all these 15-minute levels. Every single one's getting tested. This one's getting tested. This one's getting tested. This one didn't get tested. So like you could slowly see the degradation of the move, and I entered around here in this area. I didn't catch this because I wasn't trading, but I caught the move in here, and I will show you where I entered my short in here. Okay, so you're entering 15, 15, 15, 15. Okay, good. So we can delete some of these levels because they're not really, you don't really need them. We're just going to be talking around this part, okay? So you hit a hourly level, okay? You hit an hourly level against a 4 hour. So if we take it back in time, we hit a 4 hour, we hit a 4 hour. So we're in like a big box. Like this is the box, right? We're in a box. Everything's equal. And if you go down time frame, this 1 hour, if this 1 hour ended up holding like how this is, and let's say it was just doing something like this, it was just hitting, hitting, hitting. Eventually we would have broken any trend that we had like over here, and then we would have just kept going up. But that's not the case, as you can see over here. And also, I gotta mention all these trades are done on 100x, so there's almost like no margin of error because if you mess up one thing, you're getting liquidated or you're getting stopped out minus 50%, which is, it's crazy, but that's if you want to make big money, you gotta risk big, right? Okay, so right now we have this level. In the moment, let's say you're trading over here somewhere, you see this 1 hour. Okay, so 1 hour, you need to gain a 15-minute level so you can remember you have to gain a 15-minute level so this level can hold, right? So you have a 15, so you have hourly, you have a 15-minute holding. Okay, so next we look more into here to see what would get dissected. So remember how we had a 15-minute to 15-minute? So right now we're in like a little box, like we're in a box like this. Same thing how we were in a box like this. See, it's like patterns basically. So you're in a box like this, a little smaller box in here. So now after you're in this box, we go time frame down again and we see what can get hit and held. So we look for 5 minutes, right? Okay, so over here, what do we see? So we see a trend over here, right? We see this is what I like to call a range trend because this is like a price range and people love to like buy, sell, buy, sell. It's a range, okay? So you have a 5 minute range trend right here. So if this 5 minute range trend holds for long enough, it would break this. This trend is polarized. It's like the controller, it controls where this price is going to go. Same thing over here. You have another range trend over here, but you can use this or not, but it doesn't really matter if you use this trend because what you're trying to see is you're trying to build architecture down because you're in a downtrend, right? So if this trend ends up holding, you're going to start breaking some of these trends like from up here, right? All these trends. I can draw a simple trend like something like this. Draw a simple trend like this and then another trend like this. See how you didn't break this trend right here? End up holding. So that's not good. Not really good. Okay? So you have a 5 minute range trend, you have a 15-minute level. Also, something that you had was a 3 minute origin level. And what this origin level represents is the original theory in the charts. And the original theory in the charts basically represents this is like a really polarized level. Like what polarized really means is it's really like black and white. It only has two outcomes. It's like basically 50-50. If you trade these levels that you can find, you're basically guaranteed 50-50 odds. Well, it's not 50-50. That's just like a pure stat rule. It either goes up like a lot or it goes down a lot. And you can tell by see how it like hits over here perfectly in the moment and it fails to gain the trend. Like look how perfectly it hits it twice, right? So you're like, whoa, this is crazy, like if you take these trades, this is a 70% move. 70% in like what, in 6 minutes. That's crazy. That's crazy money. 70% with like $1,000 is $700 in 9 minutes. That's crazy. These levels are crazy. But same thing on the way down. Same thing with these levels. Once they break, they normally have like a huge, like they have like some kind of back test because they're polarized, right? You're not buying here, you're not buying here. You're buying on this level. You're either buying it to go up or you're waiting for it to come down and you're shorting it. So what you could see on the lower time frame is exactly what I just described. Do you see how it perfectly backtests and dumps? That's cool, right? But I was good enough to not enter here because I didn't really want to enter this because you could still like do something like this. You can go like that and then go back up, something like this. See, but that's one way you could have entered. Another way where I entered is I entered up in here. So I was trading in the moment over here. I was like, okay, I missed my first short of like around 1%. So I was like, okay, shoot. I started looking at the overall meta of the market and I was like, okay, shoot. So this piece, it's laddering 15-minute levels like we were talking about. And also something that I missed to mark on the higher time frame was we were breaking a range trend from all the way back here. This was the range trend. See, do you see this range trend, guys? Do you see how powerful this range trend is? Like, look how perfectly it was hitting here. See this 1 hour range trend, how it was hitting, holding? Like, we can go to a 5-minute time frame, right? Look at this perfect range trend. See how it, look, if you bought this range trend around here, look, you would have made another 380%. Crazy, right? And it breaks it, it hits its 1 hour level that we were talking about, because this level, this trend, and this hourly level basically represent the same thing. They're both 1 hour levels. If you hold this trend, if you hold this 1 hour, you're end up gonna break this trend, this level. So if you get stopped by the 15, that means that you're still gonna go down, because the smaller time frame is getting intersected by the hourly. So if you have smaller time frames holding, then that means that this is gonna break. Okay, so you have an hourly trend that's gonna start breaking, because you already tested this level. The only way that, okay, you tested that level, that's gone. This trend is still intact. Okay, unless if you start losing the interior mode, because once you start breaking this interior piece, the trend's gonna break, because you're not gonna do another crazy dip like this, because there's nowhere else to go. The only place you can go is maybe go something like this, and then you can move the trend like that, and then you can just re-enter somewhere over here, so you can get a back test and keep going up to attack this larger level up here. However, that wasn't the case, and we just simply broke this and we dumped to the next range trend. Do you remember how we were talking about this 1 hour range trend? Well, now it's the same thing, right? We go to the next 4 hour range trend that we had. So now we're back to 4 hour to 4 hour. So you have an hourly range trend that breaks into the 4 hour range trend. However, I didn't exactly hit the exit on like the perfect touch of it. I exited right here, which is like one of the same. I'm probably forfeiting like what, 200%. You know, it is what it is, because many times you're gonna bounce this level with the trend, and you're just gonna miss the trend sometimes. Like over here, you know, sometimes you're gonna hit the trend perfectly, sometimes you're not. So like, just better be safe than sorry, you know. So I just exited right here. So I exited something like that, around like, you know, like a good percent. So once you see this trend breaking, once you see this trend holding like this, and then you go up, you hit the 15-minute level. Once you hit the 15-minute level, you need to gain a 5-minute level. So there's going to be some kind of 5-minute level in here that's going to start hitting and holding. So like we could see, right? So we have a 5-minute level that, so you have the 15, you go back, you create this white candle, which is the 5-minute, you hit the 5-minute, okay, you hold it, you go to its mirror target. These two targets are also like the same, because this level basically represents a 5-minute, either, by the way, it's not a 5-minute level, but it's a 3-minute origin, which represents one time frame up, which is this one. So now you have ladder. So now I entered in here, somewhere over here, like a little bit lower, okay? Because I wanted to get more confirmation that this was going down. So this is what you had. You had 15, 5, 5. You had a 5-minute over here, and you hit and held the 3-minute. See? So you have 5, 3, 5, 15, 5, 5, 3 minutes. See how you're like staircasing time frames down? That's basically how you break these larger parts of the move, because that represents that people that are entering over here, they're exiting over here. So first, people who bought this level, they exited up here. The second time people bought, okay, let's say, okay, no, I said that wrong. So people entered in here, people entered more in here, people entered more in here, and all these people that entered over here are exiting here, they're also exiting here, and they're also exiting here. And then the final people are exiting over here, and that's why this level collapsed. Or people are entering shorts over here, shorts over here, shorts over here, shorts over here. So then you could see the degradation of this move fold in real time, because people are starting to sell off on this level, on this level, on this level, on this level. So once you see this, you can enter over here, which I did. I entered right there, and I already knew that, okay, the only place that we could possibly stop would be right here, somewhere over here. Ladder this piece. So because if you ladder, then you could do something like this. You can enter a trend like that, see perfect touch, and then you can start moving back up. However, that wasn't the case. You just slammed back down, you back tested trend, and then you started laddering up. But this part doesn't matter because remember how we were talking about origin levels and how they're really important? You had another 15-minute origin over here that I was going to be like, okay, I was going to enter even more money on this level over here. See how this 15-minute origin level, every time people were buying it, it holds, see? It holds, it kind of deep dives over here, but whatever, it holds. This was another crazy entry point if you could get in, but see, it front runned it a little bit, you didn't really hit it, but that was pretty much close enough, okay? You would just try to get enter in somewhere over here or even right here. So you would end up taking from here, or in my case, right here. So you would put your stop like right here, you would have like what, plus 80, plus like 100% locked up, and then you could ride it out all the way to the bottom, which is what I did. So remember, guys, if you want to enter into like really nice trades, look for these points of polarity, like these points on any time frame. And if you can find them, man, it's going to be good entry and you're going to make a lot of money. So that's like a little breakdown of how I made money on this trade. And yeah, there's also this level. Remember how we were talking about like those origin levels? This one was also like a really crazy trade that you could have done. See this level, how it never, like it hits, goes a little bit, hits, and then when you go on the other side, you bounce it again. So like, do you see how it's like a ceiling and then it turns into a roof? No, I said that wrong. Oh no, a ceiling, and then it turns into a floor. Ceiling, floor, right? Crazy. And like, if you can catch these on like 100x moves, man, you could be making, you know, a couple hundreds of thousands of percent, weekly, daily, whatever. It doesn't really matter. And you can do this on almost any coin or any market, in fact. Yeah. So thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe, and